Okay, friends, we'll begin with our class today. Yesterday, I completed with anomalous behavior of nitrogen. The video that I have posted in YouTube already. Those who have not attended the classes today, kindly go through it. The anomalous behavior of yesterday, nitrogen. Yesterday, what we have talked is that nitrogen is a gas, and it is the smallest element, and all the other elements are solids, like that we have spoken, and the nitrogen only forms diatomic molecule, whereas others forms tetraatomic molecules. Others form, like nitrogen forms only N2 diatomic molecule, whereas phosphorus forms P4. Arsenic as well as antimony, all those things, they form PS4, AS4. They form tetraatomic. 4 atoms are put together, so that they are called tetraatomic molecules. They form, except nitrogen, which forms diatomic molecule. And we also have learned that hydrogen forms nitrogen forms only hydrogen bonds, and these hydrogen bonds which are formed with ammonia is much stable in nitrogen, whereas with other elements it's not much stable. Okay, so in a simple manner, I would say that there are 7 points which can be said as anomalous behavior of nitrogen. The first one is small size of nitrogen. The second one is high value of electronegativity. As we know, in the periodic table, from the top to bottom, if you come, the electronegativity decreases, and when you come towards the down, the positive character increases due to the metallic nature that is increasing. Okay, then the third nature is the absence of d orbitals. It doesn't have d orbital, so it forms only p pi bond. Okay, it also forms multiple bond. That multiple bond is known as n triple bond n. Okay, nitrogen forms multiple bonds, whereas other elements form sigma bonds. Okay, then nitrogen is a gas, while other members are solids. Nitrogen molecule is a diatomic molecule. Other elements are tetraatomic molecule, as we have spoken, like phosphorus, arsenic, and antimony. Then the cationic property. The cationic property is more pronounced in nitrogen. Cationic property is like forming of plus charge, cations formation. In ammonia is in nitrogen. Nitrogen forms 5 oxides of monomeric nature. It forms 5 oxides, whereas other elements only 3 oxides as the maximum. Okay, hydrate of nitrogen is stable, while other elements and their hydrates are not stable. Then we have got ammonia. The hydrates of nitrogens are stable and explosive. Except ammonia, the hydrates of nitrogen are explosive. Okay, it can blast like a bomb. Okay, the halides or other elements are stable, like phosphorus and antimony, arsenic, all those things. Okay, then nitrogen can form tri-negative ion. Tri-negative ion means N3 minus. N3 minus it can form. This tendency is less in p orbital, but in the other elements it is almost absent. This is the anomalous nature of our nitrogen. Now let us get into other things, like in the p block element. What are things we have to learn? Like here I have given you again the nitrogen and its anomalous properties in words. Kindly pause the video and take the screenshot if you need it. Okay, we shall go ahead. These are the oxides that nitrogen forms. I have told you. That is, easy way to remember them is take one nitrogen with one oxygen, that is nitrogen monoxide, the first one, and then we can go for nitrogen with 2 oxygens. nitrogen with 2 oxygen, that is nitrogen dioxide. Then you can move into N2. Nitrogen is twice, okay? N2 with 1 oxygen, then N2 with 3 oxygen, 4 oxygen, and 5 oxygens. It is the easiest method to remember. These are the 5 oxides that nitrogen forms that I have told you, whereas other elements in this 15th group forms only 3 oxides, okay? See this, most of them are colorless. Why? Because p block elements are, most of them are colorless, and they are gas. Nitrogen is a gas, okay, that you know. So most of them are colorless except 2 of them, that is dinitrogen trioxide, that is a blue color, then nitrogen dioxide, that is in brown color. These 2 things you just remember. For 1 marks it is very important, okay? Here the plus charge and other things coming by number of electron it is sharing. Based on that, the plus charge is being given here, okay? The next one, this is the structural formula, you can say, where how you can present nitrogen and its resonance structures. Resonance, the word resonance means reappearing, or the different methods to represent is called resonance. Okay, the condition in which it remains more stable is called resonance condition. Okay, so if you see here nitrogen, how it can be arranged, this can be arranged in 2 forms. Most of the nitrogen oxides are arranged in 2 different forms. Kindly go through them. Like linear structure means straight line, then planar we have got angular means just bent. Water is also an angular molecule, okay, and all other things. So kindly go through them so that you will at least get 1 more questions from here. Okay, next we will move ahead. That is preparation of ammonia. Most of you might be asking me, brother, why we are only studying about ammonia in this chapter? Ammonia is actually a non-aqueous solvent. Non means not, aqueous means water. It is not a water solvent, but it is just opposite. Non-aqueous means other than water. The solvents which are used other than water is called a non-aqueous solvent. What is called solvent? Like if you take sugar and water, sugar is called solute and the water is called solvent. So when we mix these things together, then it becomes solution. So to form a solution, we need sugar plus water. That is, sugar is solute and water is a solvent. So in order to form the solution, we need to mix or dissolve the solute into a solvent. Every chemical elements are not dissolved in water. Water is an universal solvent, but everything is not dissolved in water. For example, phosphorus, which we will be studying here, is not dissolved in water. So some of the elements which can be dissolved other than water solution is called non-aqueous solvent. So one of the non-aqueous solvent is ammonia. Here mainly we are focusing on how ammonia is prepared by Haber's process. You know, ammonia is 78% available in the water. Sorry, in the atmosphere, 78% of ammonia is available, and the hydrogen is also available. When these two are compressed, means put together in a high pressure mode, then they combine in the presence of catalyst. What are the catalysts we are using? That is iron oxide we are using. Why we need catalysts? Catalysts are those compounds which reduce the reaction. Reduce the reaction means energy needed for the reaction is being reduced. The time taken for the reaction is being reduced. So it helps the reaction to take faster moment without undergoing any chemical change. The catalyst will not undergo any of the chemical change. That is called a catalyst. So here we are using iron catalyst. By the use of iron catalyst, it has been converted in N2 and H2 combined together to form ammonia. This is called Haber's process. It is a very important question for you. Haber's process of preparing ammonia. Haber's process. Okay, Haber's process for preparation of ammonia. We move ahead. That is main question I am putting you here again. What is the covalence of nitrogen in N2O5? This is dinitrogen pentoxide. Dinitrogen pentoxide. If this question has been asked for you, what will be your answer? Covalency is defined as the tendency of an atom to form number of covalent bond. Whatever valence electrons are there, if they combine together to form a bond, that bond is called covalent bond. Okay, as we know in nitrogen, we have got NS2, NP3. There are 5 electrons in the valence electrons. If they combine together to form, bonds, means that is called a covalent bond. Co means together, valent means valence electron. So the valence electrons of 2 different atoms combining together to form a bond, so that is called a covalent bond. That is called a dinitrogen pentoxide. Is one form of the nitrogen atoms which belongs to group 15 in the periodic table, that we know already. Nitrogen combines with oxygen to form a number of oxides. How many different types of oxides nitrogen forms? That is 5 different types. That is nitrogen monoxide, nitrogen dioxide, dinitrogen monoxide, dinitrogen trioxide, trinitrogen pentoxide. 5 different oxides it's forming, and here they were given is nitrogen pentoxide. What is the covalence of nitrogen in pentoxide is been asked. See, this is the structure of nitrogen pentoxide. This is the structure. From the above structure, we know it is nitrogen atom is sharing its electron with oxygen. See here, this is how it is sharing the electron to form a bond with oxygen. Nitrogen shares 4 pair of electrons. How many pairs of electrons it's sharing? 4 pairs of electrons with oxygen. How many pairs of electrons? 4 pairs of electrons. For example, see here, this is 1 pair of electron, this is second pair of electron, this side third pair of electrons, this side fourth pair of electrons. So each bond formed between nitrogen and oxygen is called a covalent bond. So covalent bond, how many covalent bonds are formed? Each nitrogen forms 4 bonds it's forming. Okay, nitrogen shares its 4 pair of electrons with oxygen. Therefore, the nitrogen covalency in dinitrogen pentoxide is 4. Okay, I hope this is clear for you. If it is clear, you write the covalency of nitrogen in N2O4. Okay, N2O4. For this, you write and then you post it to me. Okay, N2O4. If you have understood this one. Okay, let's go ahead. Okay, which element is more electronegative in p block element? If they ask in overall, since we are studying a p block element, if they ask overall, which element is more electronegative in the periodic element, what will you say? Of course, we will be saying fluorine. What is the reason actually? Fluorine is more electronegative because, as we know that from right side to the left side, if you move on the periodic table, electronegativity increases. So carbon is less electronegative when compared to nitrogen, and nitrogen is less electronegative when compared to oxygen, and oxygen is less electronegative when compared to fluorine. So fluorine has more electronegativity. See, electronegativity increases along the period and decreases down the group. So fluorine is the most electronegative of the all elements. The second most electronegative element is oxygen, followed by nitrogen in the third position. Okay, I hope this is very clear to you. These are very simple questions that are being posed. They also ask you why p block elements are colorless. The chemical compounds of the transition metal compounds are often colored. Okay, transition metals are colored, as I told you. Why? Because they have got a different oxidation states. They go to different oxidation states and they absorb energy in different wavelength and they emit also energy in different wavelength, because of which they exhibit color. They exhibit color because also they absorb the light energy in the visible region. Okay, the light which can be seen by our eyes, within that range they absorb the energy and then they release. Because of that they are seen as a colored compound, whereas p block elements are not colored. Okay, not colored. Okay, because p block elements absorb energy in a higher energy level, that you keep it in mode. Okay, p block, what is the meaning of p block? You know that any electron, the valence electron, last valence electron entering into p subcell or p orbital is known as p block element, that we know very clearly. Then this is the important question that is time and again asked in your exams, that is why ammonia is a mild reducing agent. Okay, why ammonia is a mild reducing agent, whereas bismuth is strong reducing agent. As you can see here, the nitrogen atom has one lone pair of electrons. Lone pair means what? The electron which is not participating in any of the reaction present just like this. We present lone pair of electron like two dots here. Okay, these two dots are highly reactive actually. Reactive. This lone pair of electrons, how many electron nitrogen has? Only one lone pair of electron. Lone pair means what? Like we know the electronic configuration is ns2 and np3 for ns2 my here you can see here s2 comma np5. okay, this is the outmost electrons present in nitrogen. So that nitrogen can be like this. Okay, 3 electrons of nitrogen which participates in the bond formation. 3 electrons of nitrogen, like it is forming ammonia you consider. So I made a mistake here again. Let us see what is that mistake. Anybody, can you say the mistake what I have made? The mistake I made is I said ns2 np5. I said actually it is supposed to be np3 for nitrogen. So we have got 3 unpaired electrons. Okay, 3 unpaired electrons we have got, and these 3 unpaired electrons, okay, 3 unpaired electron which reacts to form this, undergoes reaction, whereas only one lone pair of electron we have. One lone pair of electron we have. Okay, which can be donated. This lone pair of electron can be donated to oxidize. Okay, to oxidize. It is donating, which means it's losing electron. Okay, it's losing electron. So the species which accepts this lone pair of electrons will be reduced. Which means whatever species whatever elements are taking these two lone pair of electrons from nitrogen will become reduced. Hence, this is helping in reducing, so it is called reducing agents. Okay, it's called a reducing agent. Next, why does reducing character increases from ammonia to bismuth? This I told you very clearly. The hydrides decreases down the group due to decrease in their bond dissociation in enthalpy. Means nitrogen is very close by. Because of that, the bond dissociation is more because of repulsion. Okay, whereas in bismuth is large size, so bond breaking is less. Okay, this also we have discussed why bismuth is a strong reducing agent, because bismuth has how many lone pair of electrons? Anybody? Bismuth has greater reducing character because it has more number of lone pair electrons. Okay, this also yesterday we have discussed. Nitrogen is less reactive at room temperature. Why? Because nitrogen forms triple bond with another nitrogen, and this is very small in size. Therefore, bond length is very small. So to break the bond, we need more energy. Okay, to break the bond, we need more energy. Like if I give you a very long rope and I ask you to cut into small pieces, you may be cutting into hundreds and thousands. But when I give you a very small rope like 1 inch or 2 inch, and I ask you to cut into 1,000 pieces, that will become very difficult. So since the bond length is between two nitrogen is very small, so to break that one, it takes more amount of energy. To break that one takes more amount of energy, because of which nitrogen is more stable at room temperature. Okay, now I'll be discussing with you the allotropic forms of nitrogen. Our meeting is going to end in 10 minutes time. Okay, if anybody has a doubt, you can ask me. If anybody has the doubt, any kind of doubt that may be. Anybody has any doubt, kindly ask me.